Human marvels have always had a very special place in our collective imagination. From an era of far less sensitivity and political correctness, humans born with rare conditions or having weird talents were once a source of entertainment at most circuses, fairs, and carnivals. Legendary circus ringmaster P.T. Barnum made the shameless display of such individuals as part of one of his most well-known attractions, the sideshow, also called the freak shows. In this video, we're going to deep dive into the lives of 15 most shocking circus freaks throughout history. Number 15. Mechanical men. In the early 1900s, a quick way to draw a crowd and a paycheck was to pose as a machine. One such act, known simply as No Name, gained popularity by pretending to be a lifelike automaton. Dressed like a gentleman, he performed precise mechanical movements while maintaining an eerily blank expression. Wires were discreetly attached to his costume, and a woman, likely the technician, accompanied him on stage to operate the device. The act's manager even offered $100 to any woman who could make him smile. In a publicity stunt, the mechanical man was invited to Washington, D.C., where he appeared on the steps of the Treasury during a war savings stamp drive. There, he dramatically tumbled down the stairs, but emerged completely unscathed. Newspapers breathlessly referred to him as It, marveling that the machine hadn't shattered. To many, it confirmed the illusion. This was no human performer, but a miraculous invention. In reality, it was all showmanship and deeply effective. Number 14. Anne E. Leake. Anne was born to a well-off Georgia farmer without arms, but with formidable intelligence and grace. Privately educated and deeply religious, she mastered the expected domestic skills of her time: piano, needlework, sewing, even hair braiding, all with her nimble feet. One of her prized embroidered pillows read, "Where hands are lacking, toes will do." The family's financial collapse after the Civil War left Anne with limited options. Reluctantly, she joined P.T. Barnum's American Museum in the 1860s and later toured with Cooper and Bailey, eventually traveling as far as Australia with Barnum and Bailey from 1876 to 1878. In 1871, she penned an autobiography, typed entirely with her toes. She later married steamship engineer William Thompson. Though her exact death remains undocumented, a photograph from 1900 shows her older, scissors gripped confidently between her toes. Anne's life remains a quiet testament to dignity, resilience, and the complexity of performing while never seeing herself as a spectacle. Number 13. Freda Pushnik. Freda Pushnik was born without arms or legs, save for a small stump on her left side. Yet what she lacked physically, she made up for in astonishing ability. Known as the Little Half Girl, she wowed audiences by performing everyday tasks others thought impossible. She applied makeup, threaded needles, crocheted, solved puzzles, and even typed, all with remarkable precision without anyone's help. At age 10, she debuted at Ripley's first Believe It or Not auditorium during the 1933 World's Fair in Chicago. Carried on stage atop a velvet pillow, Freda greeted the crowd, then stunned them with her dexterity. She toured with the auditorium and joined the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey in 1943. Her sister Irma, a trapeze artist, later worked in the circus office. Freda retired from performing in 1956, but later appeared in cult films like House of the Damned and Sideshow. She remains one of the most inspiring performers of the era, turning perceived limitations into unforgettable artistry and strength. Number 12. The Bohemian Twins. Rosa and Josefa Blazek, born in 1878 in Bohemia, were conjoined at the lower spine. For them, life wasn't just difficult, it was relentless. From infancy, they were exhibited at traveling fairs, their childhood unfolding under the stares of paying strangers. At 13, doctors in Paris declared separation impossible. They didn't retreat. they performed. The twins learned music, performing violin duets that elevated their act above cheap spectacle. In 1893, they toured America during the World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago. In 1910, Rosa gave birth to a boy, Franz. Whether his father existed or was simply a publicity stunt was never resolved, but the controversy ensured continued fame. By 1921, they returned to the U.S. with Franz for a vaudeville tour and eventually settled among Chicago's Czech community. A year later, influenza struck, and they died within minutes of each other. Though their lives ended suddenly, the enduring memory of their unity became a lasting symbol of resilience and sisterhood. Number 11. Alzoria Lewis and Johanna Dickens. From the 1930s to the 1950s, Alzoria Lewis and Johanna Dickens captivated crowds on Coney Island, marketed as sisters or cousins, though they weren't related. Alzoria, born in 1912 in Brooklyn, had drastically underdeveloped limbs, 6 fingers on each hand, and mismatched feet, 6 toes on one, just one on the other. She crawled on all fours and performed under names like Turtle Girl, Walrus Girl, and Pig Woman. Her backstory was embellished with tales of Southern origin, despite her life unfolding only blocks from the boardwalk. Twice married, she sometimes performed under the name Alzoria Green. Johanna Dickens, a dwarf born in the 1920s, was introduced as the Bear Girl, and the two were often paired together to heighten visual contrast. Their performances were crafted around fantasy more than fact, sold as exotic narratives for curious onlookers. Their partnership embodied the strange mix of cruelty and fascination that defined the sideshow era's twisted version of entertainment. Number 10. Johan Peterson. Johan Peterson lived a normal childhood until, at 15, he suddenly began growing at an extraordinary rate. He eventually reached 7 feet 8 inches, though he often claimed even more. In 1934, he moved to Denmark and began performing across Europe, frequently paired with dwarves to amplify visual contrast. During World War II, Johan found himself stranded in Copenhagen, where he worked in a shipyard throughout the war. In 1948, he immigrated to the U.S. and joined the Ringling Brothers sideshow. Initially donning a top hat and tuxedo, he later adopted Viking attire and promoted himself as the Viking Giant. His career proved profitable, and he accumulated a modest fortune. In 1950, he even appeared in the film Prehistoric Women. After retiring to Gibsonton, Florida in the 1960s, Johan occasionally re-emerged for special events, including an appearance at the Smithsonian in 1973. He passed away in 1984, his towering body ultimately undone by something as mundane and tragic as a fall. Number 9. Betty Lou Williams. While many view freak shows as exploitative, some performers turned their conditions into rare opportunities. Betty Lou Williams was born in Georgia in 1932 with a parasitic twin, its head embedded in her abdomen, with legs and partial arms protruding from her torso. Her family, struggling on a farm and raising 12 children, allowed her to be exhibited by the time she was 1. At 2, she caught the attention of Ripley, and her career exploded. As a child, Betty Lou earned $250 a week, when most families survived on $30. By adulthood, she was making over $1,000 a week. But instead of indulging in excess, she built a better life for her family. She bought her parents a 260-acre ranch and paid for all 11 siblings to attend college. Betty Lou wasn't a victim. She was a provider. Though her condition was unusual, her decisions showed strength and self-determination, proving that in a world quick to exploit, she wrote her own script. Number 8. Angus McKascal. Angus McKascal, nicknamed the Nova Scotia Giant, earned his place as one of the strongest men in recorded history. Born in Scotland in 1825, he was raised on Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia. Though unremarkable in childhood, a dramatic growth spurt at 15 left him towering at 7 feet 9 inches and weighing 425 pounds. His body was astonishing: 12-inch wide hands, a 50-inch chest, and boots measuring 18 inches long. Unlike many with gigantism, Angus had no medical condition, just overwhelming natural strength. He hoisted 2,000-pound anchors, pulled loaded wagons, and outmatched challengers in feats of power. In 1849, P.T. Barnum paired him with Tom Thumb as the tallest and the smallest, thrilling audiences when Thumb stood in his palm or disappeared inside his coat. Though uncomfortable with performance, Angus became globally renowned. He died in 1863 at just 38, remembered not only for his size, but for the quiet dignity and unmatched strength that defined his life. Number 7. Letoman. Joseph Pujol never imagined his odd ability would make him Paris's most famous entertainer. Performing under the name Letoman, he became the world's most famous flatulist, not through crudeness, but extraordinary control. Pujol could inhale air into his rectum and expel it on command, producing sound effects so convincing he filled theaters nightly. At the Moulin Rouge in the 1890s, he imitated thunder, cannon blasts, and even performed ocarina tunes via tubing. Audiences roared as he extinguished candles from across the stage. His admirers included royalty and intellectuals, and even Sigmund Freud once attended. After disagreements with Moulin Rouge management, he opened his own theater, blending comedy, song, and his unique talents. During World War I, he retired to Toulon, opening first a bakery, then a biscuit factory. He died in 1945 at age 88. Letoman remains one of the strangest showmen in history, a less vulgar spectacle and more genius absurdity, transforming gas into a legendary career. Number 6. Angelo Rosito. Born in 1908, Angelo Rosito stood just 2 feet 11 inches tall, but that didn't stop him from forging one of Hollywood's most enduring and recognizable careers. Unlike many who relied on sideshow fame, Angelo carved out his legacy in film. Over 6 decades, he appeared in more than 70 movies, portraying monsters, henchmen, elves, aliens, and Roman guards. Sometimes covered in elaborate makeup, sometimes simply himself, he became a familiar face to cinema fans. He used various aliases over the years, including Little Mo, Angelino, and Angelo. His debut was the beloved Rogue alongside John Barrymore. He later starred in cult classics like Spooks Run Wild, The Corpse Vanishes, Dracula vs. Frankenstein, and Mad Max, Beyond Thunderdome, where he famously played Master. Outside acting, he ran a newsstand in Los Angeles and appeared on children's shows like H.R. Pufnstuf and Lidsville. When he died in 1991, Angelo left behind not just roles, but a legacy as a true cult icon. Number 5. Sophia Schultz. Sophia billed herself as a triple curiosity: dwarf, bearded lady, and fat lady. Realistically, only the first claim held up. She was of short stature but could only grow a faint goatee, and she never reached the weight of the famed fat performers of the era. Still, she worked the dime museum circuit throughout the 1880s and was photographed in New York, Baltimore, and Boston. While audiences hoping for extravagance found only mild novelty, Sophia's existence fed the public's constant appetite for difference. Her appearance likely reflected a condition like hypothyroidism, which may also have impacted her mental development. Not much is known about her personal life, though her surname suggests German ancestry. She lacked the fame of the sideshow's headline acts, but her presence was no less important. Sophia's career offers a window into a time when even modest deviations from the norm were enough to sustain a living and to fuel society's insatiable fascination with the unusual. So, what do you think about her? Number 4. Count Orloff. Ivanov Vladislaus von Jarsky Orloff, known to sideshow audiences as Count Orloff, was billed as the transparent and ossified man. Born in Budapest, he lived normally until age 14, when illness left him frail, in chronic pain, and dependent on opium. His appearance stunned crowds. His skin was so translucent that veins and arteries appeared visible. It was said that when lit from behind, one could read a newspaper through his torso. Though posters described him as ossified, whether he truly suffered from bone disease remains unconfirmed. His exhibitions combined medical mystery with spectral curiosity, promoting him as both anatomical wonder and ghost-like marvel. Eventually, Orloff ran his own sideshow, monetizing the eerie mystique his body projected. Though perpetually weak, his presence endured, equal parts man and apparition. More than just the human window pane, Orloff represented something deeper, a fragile body turned into a public enigma. All right, guys, now let's move to number 3, Rudy Santos, the Octaman. Rudy was born in 1953 with one of the rarest medical conditions ever documented, a parasitic twin embedded in his body. He became known on the circus circuit as Octaman, boasting 4 arms and 3 legs. From his twin grew an extra leg, a set of shoulders, 2 additional arms, a second pair of nipples, and even a partial head with 1 ear and hair. Rudy's own leg was twisted unnaturally, requiring crutches. In 2008, doctors offered surgical removal of the twins' remnants, but Rudy declined, citing both financial hardship and emotional attachment. During the 1970s and 80s, he performed widely, but his fame gradually faded. He eventually withdrew from public life, living modestly. In 2023, Rudy died from a stroke and was survived by his great-niece, Emma Leftwich. To this day, he holds the record as the oldest living person with this rare condition, remembered not only for his appearance, but for his quiet dignity in the face of spectacle. Number 2. Sandra Reed. Sandra Reed didn't let her condition define her. She turned it into a platform for self-mastery. Born with albinism, she carved a bold legacy as one of the few female sword swallowers in circus history. She joined James E. Straight's shows in 1969 at age 24, first as a lecturer on albinism. Encouraged by showman Whitney Sutton, she later trained under Ricky Ricciardi in Gibsonton, Florida. Her family rallied behind her. Her sister Doreen, also albino, gave lectures. Her father managed tickets. Her mother worked behind the scenes. Sandra soon advanced to the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey, performing with style and courage. In the mid-1970s, she married Harold Big Jim Spone, known as the Fat Man. Between 1975 and 1977, she held the Guinness World Record for most swords swallowed by a woman, successfully managing 5 at once. Sandra Reed wasn't a novelty. She was a pioneer who transformed spectacle into empowered performance and made history in doing so. Number 1. The Ape Woman. Once someone said Julia Pastrana wasn't fully human. That lie sold 1 million tickets. Born in Mexico in 1834, she lived with hypertrichosis and gingival hyperplasia, conditions that blanketed her face in thick hair and distorted her jaw. Promoters dubbed her the Ape Woman, parading her across continents as half-beast, half-woman. But Julia didn't just stand under the lights. She danced, she sang, she owned the stage, Broadway, Europe, America. Her voice was lovely, her grace is undeniable. But her husband-manager, Theodore Lent, saw only profit. When she gave birth to a son who shared her condition, both died soon after. Lent embalmed her and kept touring with her corpse. A century passed before Julia's body was finally returned to Mexico in 1972. Her story is brutal, but beneath the cruelty was a woman with talent, fire, and dignity the world refused to see. She wasn't a freak. She was an artist trapped in a cage of spectacle, and she deserved far better. If you found this video interesting, be sure to like it, share it, and subscribe. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and we'll see you very soon.